we had a listener question from the Dylan Watercutter. He's back on the show. We really do appreciate him.
We'll have to have him on one of these times.
We will, because I really do appreciate him, giving us things to talk about at the show.
Hey, it's off season. We need it.
I know. So here we go. Here's the question. Do you think Ohio State can/will continue to produce the best wide receiver talent now that NIL has taken over? With young talent shifting around so quick, will they be able to keep big names long enough to continue being the current wide receiver U? So off rip, I appreciate you saying Ohio State is wide receiver U.
Yeah, I think that is
quite
a
accurate.
Key distinction.
We've had 4 years in a row with a wide receiver in the first round.
Make it 5 this year.
It's going to be 5 with Cardinal Tate, almost assuredly. And I think
6.
One of those years we've had 2 go in the first round.
Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson.
Exactly. He knows ball. And yeah, next year I would hope Jeremiah Smith goes in the first round unless he has a horrible year or a crazy injury. So, yes, I'd say we're wide receiver U, and we could even be wide receiver U until next year. But he makes a really good point. All the talent is shifting around. The curve is kind of being, and just in a general sense, as Buckeye fans, we haven't really talked about this, but as much as I love parity in college football, I will acknowledge it's technically not good for Ohio State. Like, they're not going to be as dominant, just like any other, historically good program. I love parity for the sport. It's not good for our team, Ohio State, which is fine. Like I said, I love the parity in the sport.
Parity is good. But I don't like it for my team.
And that's going to come in wide receivers too. Like, they're also going to flatten out. So what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think it's important to establish what creates wide receiver U. Whether it be stats in the NFL, draft picks, or just overall dominance of the wide receiver in the college level. But even though, as long as we establish that, I still do think wide receiver U will still be Ohio State to a sense. I do think they'll always be a contender there for it because Ohio State still has brand. First off, they have it well known that if you want to be good in the NFL, you go to Ohio State. And now you could argue that Brian Hartline's gone, and that could draw in have some kickback there. But I do think our current wide receiver coach, I forget what's his name, but I'm pretty sure he came from LSU, is a perfectly capable candidate as well to foster talent and to create first-round draft picks. So I'm not really concerned about that. And then also to create wide receiver U, you need good QB play, you need some good facilities, you need NIL, and Ohio State's got all of that. I don't think there's been one down year where Ohio State didn't have a great quarterback. So that's never really in question.
Yeah, our kind of bar for bad quarterback is Kyle McCord, and he wasn't even that bad. And he went to Syracuse, and then he was pretty good, except throwing
he threw so many picks,
5 picks in one half of a game.
So many.
But
picks.
Other than that, he was technically pretty good. I think he finished with a couple Heisman votes, maybe.
He did. He did.
Crazy. But that's kind of our bar for like a bad quarterback. And we've just been good. Like Quinn Ewers used to be in our locker room.
Used to be.
Joe Burrow used to be in our locker room. I'm not an Ohio State fan claiming them, but I'm just saying, in general,
we recruit talent.
We recruit talent, and they're usually pretty good. So, and that's something I was going to say. It is important to have a good quarterback to be wide receiver U. So we build around that. And like Josh said, we had the NIL, we have the facilities, and we have the brand. Like, if I were a kid, if I'm a 5-star wide receiver, and I look at where I'm going, yeah, okay, now that Brian Hartline's gone, it's like, was he the whole reason they were wide receiver U? I think he was obviously a good help, but I don't think
it's
huge. Just going to strip us of the title. So somehow we've won very little Blitnikoffs. But despite that,
that's a whole other argument.
Despite that, I still think that if I'm a 5-star wide receiver, it's just a really safe bet. If my goal is to make it to the NFL, or especially if my goal is to be a round 1 wide receiver in the NFL, I just can't think there's a better place to go than Ohio State.
I don't think there is.
Now, could that change? This will change the most over the course of probably next year and the year after that, especially as we get rid of our key piece at our coaching staff. And we already know our top guy was our top guy going to the draft was Cardinal Tate, and next year's Jeremiah Smith. But
after that,
we're really going to see next year if there's anyone who can kind of continue being good. This is especially concerning because I'm pretty sure we had 2 wide receivers go to Notre Dame.
We did have just 2
And
5-stars leave.
2 5-star wide receivers. So I see where the concern is coming from. I am more concerned than we used to be about our wide receiver talent, especially since having just super elite wide receivers does not always equal wins, especially in big games.
Equal wins.
Because last year we had 2 first-round wide receivers. Jeremiah Smith couldn't go to the draft, but our wide receiver 2 is going to the draft as either the number 1 wide receiver or right behind Mekhi Lemon. So I would say, you know what, it doesn't always equal wins. So maybe I'm just too sentimental towards this, wide receiver U title or whatever.
It could be a little bit more era dependent, depending on the coach usage and NIL development. So maybe we're not wide receiver U in 5 years, but I do believe that Ohio State is definitely a top candidate to always be wide receiver U at some point.
I mean, as long as we have this many guys in the NFL as well, it's just hard to ignore.
How do you say no?
LSU has had good wide receivers. They're kind of slowing down, especially with their team being in general bad. But people make the argument all the time just because Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, and I guess Malik Neighbors.
Malik Neighbors now.
So like those
Brian Thomas.
Even though Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson were so long ago, they're still a core part of the LSU argument for wide receiver.
Correct.
For sure. So as long as that's happening, we just had JSN win the Super Bowl. Got hurt, wasn't quite MVP, but
no, he did get hurt.
So. I wouldn't even get into that because their kicker should have been MVP, but that's just
Go Myers
going crazy.
So I don't know. I would probably just say they'll be okay.
I think they'll be fine. I think sometimes maybe even our offensive play style, because our whole thing this year was to play less snaps. And I think sometimes that actually kind of hurts your stats. And so we ended up playing – we talked about how good it was. We're playing one less game by the end of the season. Well, first of all, we ended up playing a lot less games because we got out in the first round of the playoffs. But even more than that, it's like we're losing some stats.
We're losing some snaps that could give people yards.
That's true.
But yeah, that doesn't stop Carnell Tate or Jeremiah Smith being dominant. Yep. And NFL people, scouts going, yeah, they're going to be good.
Well, now we have 2 2 NFL coordinators. We are Arthur Smith. We'll see how he is the most run-heavy offensive coordinator that existed in the NFL. I don't know the exact metrics. It is absolutely crazy. Ask any Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Arthur Smith ran the ball more than anyone else. You know what? That could even hurt us too. And that's really possible, and I really hope he doesn't quite turn our team into that because we still have amazing wide receiver talent, especially in Jeremiah Smith. But that, you know what? That's just hitting me right now, and that's just a little bit concerning. I think, long story short, we're wide receiver U for the next 2 years. But after that,
it's a toss-up.
In 2 years, it could be bad.
Who knows?